Senate observed, I stand to move the motion on the need to halt the proposed increase in electricity tariff by 11 successor electricity distribution companies, referred to as DISCOs. The Senate observes that the 11 successor electricity distribution company DISCOs have filed an application for rate review with the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC. The request for rate review is premised on the need to incorporate changes in macroeconomic parameters and other factors affecting the quality of service, operation, and sustainability of the companies. The Senate also observes that the Commission, in line with its mandate, has requested the general public for comment on the rate review applications by the distribution companies, while advising interested stakeholders to review and take into consideration the excerpt of the rate review application filed with the Commission by the respective licensees. The Senate is aware that as part of the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission rulemaking process, and in the review of the powers conferred by the Electricity Act 2023, the Commission is empowered to conduct a rate case hearing on the application price for making a ruling. The Senate is also aware that the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission has, through its official website, published and set 20th July 2023 deadline for comment by stakeholders. Worried that within the last 10 years, billions of naira were spent by senators across Nigeria in the procurement and installation of transformers through various solar intervention projects as a result of requests in senators' various constituencies. Also worried that when these transformers are supplied and installed, it becomes registered properties of the DISCOs, a privately owned enterprise, while sadly same DISCO have consistently refused to energize such transformers on the ground that the affected communities have to pay millions of naira across of bill for electricity never consumed, while keeping the affected consumers in perpetual darkness. The Senate, concerned that the services of the 11 DISCOs is currently bedeviled with total failure occasioned by prolonged blackouts due to lack of provision of relevant infrastructure like transformers, electricity poles, poor distribution network, compounded with unjustifiable estimated billings, lack of supply of prepaid meters, rip-off, and so on. The Senate also concerned that despite repeated previous increase in the multi-year tariff, with assurances of improved service delivery by the DISCOs, no commensurate improvement has been made by any of the 11 DISCOs in their respective service delivery to justify the previous increments. The Senate is further concerned that the proposed increase will significantly impact the affordability of electricity for the average Nigerians, further exacerbating the financial burden faced by our households and businesses. That less than 1 week time frame window provided by National Electricity Regulatory Commission for comments from all relevant stakeholders is too small for any meaningful engagement. The Senate is further concerned that high electricity tariff will impede industrial growth, job creation, and overall economic development. This will have adverse effects on the nation's drive towards sustainable development and poverty reduction. The Senate is further concerned that it is essential to address the issue of inadequate power supply, metering, and quality of service provided by the discourse. Customers should not bear the brunt of inefficiency in the power sector. The Senate accordingly resolved to 1, call on the federal government of Nigeria to intervene and halt the proposed increase in the electricity tariff by the distribution companies, the discos. 2, urge Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission to decentralize proposed engagement with stakeholders scheduled for Abuja to the 6 geopolitical zones of the Federation for effective participation by all. 3, also urge NARC to thoroughly look into the rate review application filed by the DISCO, taking into consideration the interests of citizens, their affordability, and the need for improved service delivery. 4, further urge NERC to explore alternative measures to address the financial challenges faced by the DISCO, such as improving operational efficiency, reducing technical and commercial losses, and enhancing revenue collective mechanism. 5, equally urge DISCOs to henceforth discontinue estimated billing and make available to all electricity consumers prepaid meters at affordable prices. And finally, mandate the Committee on Power, when constituted, to engage with the Federal Ministry of Power, NERC, and other stakeholders to find lasting solutions to the challenges facing the Nigerian electricity sector, including the need for comprehensive sector reforms. I so move.
Senator Gbayam.
Mr. President, good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Asuko Ekwenyo, representing Cross River South. I rise first to second this motion that was co-sponsored by myself, and if given the opportunity to present a short brief as well. On this note, I second the motion.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President, once again. Distinguished colleagues, it is important to note that the removal of fuel subsidy has adversely affected the general prices of goods and services within the economy, with a very high rate of pass-through inflation. Electricity is one of the primary factors of production. An increase in electricity tariffs, as currently proposed, will increase the problem of the inflation and compound Nigeria's inflation crisis. While the pros and cons of subsidizing consumption can be debated every day, the benefits of subsidizing production is inherent. Vast multiplier effects in the local economy. I would like to back the motion, which was co-sponsored by myself and aptly read by Senator Yunus Akintunde, by calling on the federal government to intervene as a matter of urgency to halt this proposed increase in tariffs. Thank you very much.
Of naira spent on infrastructure of electricity in Nigeria is not only by the Senate, but by legislators from the state and the national at all. And at the same time, both executives from all levels spend billions on infrastructure for this discourse. Only for the discourse, for the past 10 years that the electricity companies were sold to them, nothing was increased in terms of electricity generation or power generation in the country, but to be increasing their tariff. Mr. President, we should know that tariffs are being graded into 5. Grade A, B, C, and D, D and E. And the highest one is to be given in areas that are enjoying 20 hours of electricity per day. And this is not even guaranteed, and people are paying for those rates. And the lowest one is 4 hours per day. Mr. President, how on earth an area giving electricity for 4 hours in a day? As we talk now, the NERC is currently reviewing this rate. And if the Senate did not call on federal government to halt this, Nigerians' suffering will increase, and everywhere will be problem for Nigerians, and we're here to serve Nigerians. Mr. President, I back and support the mover of this motion for the Senate to call on NERC and the federal government to halt the increase pending the improvement in the economy and the spending power of Nigerians. Thank you.
Senator.
For the increase in the electricity tariff, it will definitely hurt our small enterprises, small businesses that so many Nigerians are surviving on right now. And at this time, with the petrol subsidy removed, we don't think that Nigerians should be allowed to go into further suffrage. And so, Lord, I stand to submit and to support this motion that we should call on the federal government to halt the discourse from ever trying to increase any electricity tariff at this time. I so submit.
To the motion. Is there any opposition to the motion? So, Senator Abamoro, you are opposed to the motion.
Colleagues, my name is Abamoro. I represent the good people of the Benue South Senatorial District. Mr. President, I think that the only way your eye can catch me to make a contribution is to say that I'm opposed to the motion. And so, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Mr. President, with your kind indulgence, I want to make a very few comments on this very important motion. And I want to start by thanking my colleagues for timeously bringing this motion to the attention of the Senate. Because, Mr. President, there is no gainsaying that we all know that many industries, many factories, many companies have relocated from Nigeria to even neighboring Ghana and Benin Republic here on account of our lack of energy. And Mr. President, as my colleagues are saying, I have had the privilege of providing about 4 or 5 transformers to my communities. And like they say, the discos will not install them. But immediately you install with all the payments, they will come and take charge of the transformers. It becomes their property. Mr. President, as I'm speaking to you, you have to go through all levels of rigors, even pay their staff to get these transformers installed. And I think that the epilepsy in the power supply sector of this country has become very legendary. And to compound that matter, you now want to increase tariff. Tariff for what? For the distribution. You remember, Mr. President, that it has been reported recently that there is enough power generated, but not the capacity to distribute it. And here we are, discos applying. After they have given indication of increasing tariff and given a deadline of July 1st, they are now applying for approval for a review. Approval for something that they have already taken action or decided on. And so, Mr. President, I think it is germane at this point in time for all of us to agree to ask the federal government to intervene immediately in the interest of the people of this country. Because I think the discourse have taken us for a ride for too long. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, distinguished Senator Abamoro, thank you for opposing the motion. So we go to the prayers. Call on the federal government of Nigeria to intervene and halt the proposed increase in electricity tariff by the distribution companies, the DISCOs. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against, nay. Say nay. Those opposed to it say nay. The ayes have it. Only Abamoro. Prayer 2. Urge Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission (NEC) to decentralize proposed engagement with stakeholders scheduled for Abuja to the 6 geopolitical zones of the Federation for effective participation by all. Urge Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NEC) to decentralize proposed engagement with stakeholders scheduled for Abuja. So the 6 geopolitical zones of the Federation for effective participation by all. Yet this prayer simply says that since there is a proposed meeting of stakeholders, that we should urge that this be decentralized to the 6 geopolitical zones to enable more stakeholders participate. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against it say nay. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Number 3, also urge NEC to thoroughly look into the rate review application filed by the discos, taking into consideration the interests of citizens, affordability, and the need for improved service delivery. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Further urge NEC to explore alternative measures to address the financial challenges faced by the discos, such as improving operational efficiency, reducing technical and commercial losses, and enhancing revenue collection mechanisms. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Equally urge the discos to henceforth discontinue estimated billing and make available to all electricity consumers prepaid meters at affordable prices. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those who are not in support say nay. The ayes have it. And finally, mandate the Committee on Power to engage with the Federal Ministry of Power, the NEC, and other stakeholders to find lasting solutions to the challenges facing the Nigerian electricity sector, including the need for comprehensive sector reforms. Those who are in support of this prayer say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me thank my...
Mr. President, sir, every speaker spoke to the fact that both...
Additional prayer.
The prayer is that where communities or individuals or state governments or anyone else outside discos spend their resources to procure transformers, and transformers being one of the main cost item in distribution, that such cost of procurement and installation, once it is borne by whoever provides it, that the community shall not pay bills until they have fully recovered the cost of installing the transformer. Because as senators, we are not to lament, we are to prevent and protect the consumer. We cannot be part of...
Yes. Distinguished colleagues, the community that provides transformer should not pay bills until the cost of the transformer has been recovered. Any seconder? This is Senator Abo.
President, the good people of Adamawa North. Mr. President, I write second the motion as ably moved by distinguished Senator Adams Oshimole that the cost of buying a transformer should be built so that the community should not pay for their bill until they deduct the cost of the transformer there. Thank you.
And seconded. Well, we already have a motion that has been seconded. If you want to move for additional you can always move, you can bring additional prayer. You can bring additional prayer. Those who are in support of the amendment that the cost of transformer should first be recovered by the communities before payment of electricity bills, say aye. Aye. Those who are against, say nay. The next service. The additional prayer. Okay. Senator Siri.
Mr. President, sir. DSP. The President, sir. Distinguished colleagues. My name is Cyril Fashui, representing the good people of Ekiti North. I have decided to stand up to call this additional prayer to follow the footpath of Senator Abamoro, because since the beginning of this Senate, I've been raising my hands and you have never called me. My additional prayer is taken from the speech of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that says, "Let the poor breathe." Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, let the poor breathe. That is my additional prayer.
Distinguished colleagues, Ambassador, you want to second? No, we have not concluded on the prayer by our brother Cyril. He said his additional prayer is "Let the poor breathe." Senator Mustafa, you want to second that additional prayer?
Representing Kwara Central, in supporting Senator Cyril Fashui in his additional prayer that the poor should breathe, I believe all he's trying to say is that the discourse. Okay.
So the distinguished colleagues, an additional prayer by distinguished Senator Cyril Fashui, who said that I've been recognizing him every day to talk. Senator Fashui, you said that on each sitting day that my eye always catches you. Okay, so it was a mistake today. Anyway, the major thing is that your prayer is that let the poor breathe. And then Senator Mustafa has seconded that the poor should breathe. Those who are in support of the additional prayer that the poor should be allowed to breathe, say aye. Aye. And those who are against, say nay. The ayes have it, the poor must be allowed to breathe. Let me thank the mover of the motion for bringing this to the fore. And as a matter of fact, it's such a very serious issue. because this goes to the root cause of production. Not just production, it also goes to the root cause of employment. If we have to have employment opportunities, then our industries must function. And then the industries cannot function without electricity. And even the poor households who are made to pay exorbitant bills as a result of estimated billing, I think this must also be brought to an end. So we frown on it, we condemn it, and we think that sanity should be brought into the sector. So what we have done today as a Senate is to suspend any further increase in electricity tariff until all the conditions stipulated in this motion are met. So I want to thank my distinguished colleagues for thinking of the public, because even this motion and the resolutions therefrom are actually ways and means of letting the poor people in Nigeria to breathe. So I thank all of you. Senate Leader.